So, welcome to this session. This will be our sixth session for this particular book, Beyond the Mind. So, we are on page 13, somewhere in the middle. We've done the first two sutras. Now, let's continue. The limitations of your brain do not change the reality that to a certain degree you are connected and one with your higher soul, and ultimately, to a certain degree, connected and one with the divine spark and with God. You see, why Master is telling us this is that although it is reality that, you, me, all of us, we are not the bodies, but we are the soul using the bodies. The problem is that all our perception is controlled by the physical brain, and that has limitations. It is at the moment perhaps unable to register impressions that are beyond the usual sensory perceptions. Like you are able to see. You are seeing me on the screen, I'm seeing you on the screen, you are hearing me, you can touch things, and so on, the five senses. Our brain, unfortunately, has got limited to that. Now, this perception or this realization that to a certain degree I am connected and one with my higher soul, that is beyond the physical plane. That perception, is not possible with the senses. It is beyond the senses. So one may call it metaphysical in that regard. And when Master talks about the divine spark and God, he is really referring to, okay, let me just share this. He is really talking about this image or this diagram, which is from the Achieving Oneness with the Higher Soul book. This is our physical body, the 12th chakra, then the higher soul, then the divine spark. Now, this is shown physically like this, but it is not actually like this. It's just a way of showing higher level of consciousness or higher level of refinement or higher degree of purity, like that. But it's really not, everything is in the same physical space. All right. So that is what Master says, that you are connected and one with your higher soul. Now, the key word here is to a certain degree. And the next sutra actually will help us understand what Master is talking about here, that it is a question of degree, it is a question of quantity. Just give me a moment, please. You see, there are many things that the brain is not able to register, or not able to accept. So, for example, let's look at 100 years ago. Today, we are in the year 2025. Let's talk about 1925, or let's go back 200 years, 1825. Now, if somebody were to say that in some time you will have a small device, and on that you can see the person you are talking to, or like we are doing over Zoom, you will have a device, and on that screen you can see 10 other people who are communicating with you at the same time. The brain would not have been able to accept it, but the reality remains. The reality did not change. So similarly, what Master is telling us is that just because our brains are limited and they cannot accept this reality, it doesn't mean that the reality is not there. And also, it tells us that there is a great importance of developing the brain. The brain can be developed, and our arhatic practices are really geared to that. Especially, if you've heard of the Kundalini meditation, if you are an arhatic practitioner, you know what it is. The Kundalini meditation, one of its primary purposes is to help develop the physical brain so that it can register higher experiences. We've seen the sutra, I think on the previous page. If you look at the previous page, the first sutra, the evolution of the soul must be accompanied by the evolution of the physical body. The physical body must evolve up to the degree that it can register impressions from the higher soul and the spiritual experience of oneness. So, as we do these arhatic practices, we are now able to register them. Some people are very sensitive, they are able to register even without before they started the arhatic practices. I don't know if you are one of them, but many people, but the first time they do twin hearts, they have expansion of consciousness. They are able to experience, for example, I'm traveling, I'm doing this, I'm being pulled out, my body has disappeared, things like that. Yeah. So when the body evolves, especially the brain, we are able to experience or perceive the soul connection. We are able to get intuitive insights. We are also at an even higher level able to experience oneness with all. Right now, it is just a concept, oh, we are all one. But at some point, one can actually experience that oneness. Yeah. Okay, let's move on. The spiritual connection of ordinary people is minimal. It is as thin as a spider thread. Why, while with a highly evolved soul, the spiritual cord extends beyond the physical body. So, what Master is saying is that size is important. Size of what? The spiritual cord. And the size of the spiritual cord shows and it can be used to monitor our spiritual progress. Before you start your spiritual progress, chances are the spiritual cord is very, very thin. How thin? He says, as thin as a spider thread. If you've examined a spider thread, it has a lot of, a spider web. It has a lot of very, very thin threads. There's no thickness there. They are very thin, even thinner than your hair, a strand of hair. उससे भी ज्यादा वो महीन और पतले होते हैं. तो उससे भी पतली होती है एक साधारण व्यक्ति की स्पिरिचुअल कॉर्ड. द स्पिरिचुअल कॉर्ड ऑफ एन ऑर्डिनरी पर्सन इज इवन थिनर देन दैट. But as we progress spiritually, the spiritual cord will start growing. So it is a sign of your spiritual progress, and one can use it to monitor. So if you are doing spiritual practices regularly, every month or maybe every 3 months, you should scan your spiritual cord and maybe make a note of it so you can see whether how your progress is. You can track your progress, you can monitor your progress. And again, to remind you, it's good to have a spiritual buddy, somebody who will scan you and you scan that person and help each other out. I remember in some workshop, at least one workshop that I attended of Master Choa, he made us scan the spiritual cords of some very great souls, the Mahatmas. उन्होंने बोला कि इनकी आप स्कैन करके देखो. So, which is a way of showing to us that it can be as big as the physical body or even bigger than the physical body. Yeah. Because that is their degree of oneness with the higher soul. Okay, let's read the next sutra and the sutra after that together. The divine spark is your true essence. Your true essence is Shunya in Sanskrit or Kung in Chinese, which means nothingness. Shunya also means nothingness. It is pure energy with consciousness devoid of matter. Devoid means it does not contain any. It is literally not a thing. The divine spark or the divine spirit is Kung. It is Ain. It is nothingness. It is fundamental. The fundamental essence of Tao is nothingness. This divine essence is omnipresent. It is everywhere. Now, this is a very, very profound sutra. Yeah, let me again show you this image. Just give me a moment. Let's keep this in front of us while we are discussing. So when Master is talking about, you see this, when you look at the body, I hope you can see where my cursor is, where my pointer is. This is the physical body. The physical body is a lot of matter and a little bit of energy with consciousness. Okay. But when you look at the soul, when you look at the divine spark, when you look at Supreme God, these are entities that have no matter, and that is why they are called no thing, nothing, right? You see, when they say shunya, shunya means that there is nothing. Nothing is there. There is no matter. There is no nothing material. It is completely just energy with consciousness. Now, the thing is that in our day to day life, we have not experienced energy with pure energy with consciousness. The energies we experience, like for example, light is falling on me, through energy transfer, my signal is reaching you, and so on and so forth. They all have some amount of matter. Okay, and if when you look at pure matter, for example, this glass, can you see the glass? No, okay, I'm holding a glass, even if you can't see it. I think you can see it now. Okay, so when you see this glass is matter, but it is not just pure matter. It is matter, and there is a certain amount of energy with consciousness. So they are both intermixed. All our bodies are like that. There is matter and there is energy with consciousness. But Master says, when you talk about the divine spark, when you talk about Tao. Now, what is Tao? Tao is a Chinese, there is a philosophy of Taoism. I don't know if it is, if somebody can correct me, Tao is Chinese or Japanese. I'm not absolutely certain, but something like that. It's just another name, like we use the name of Brahman or Parabrahman. Master keeps using Parabrahman. You know, there are also some differences in the concept of Tao and Parabrahman, but quite similar. I mean, we can, in this context, we can take it to be the same. And what Master is again telling us in these two sutras is that different cultures, the ancient cultures, have the same knowledge, but they use different terms. So this AIN, this is a Kabbalah. This is from the Kabbalistic spiritual tradition. Kung is from the Chinese tradition. Shuni, of course, is from the Upanishads, the Hindu or the Indian ancient tradition. And nothingness you should interpret as no thingness. No thing. Thing here means no matter. There is no nothing material. You see, this is based on a philosophy which Master has explained in the existence of God is self-evident. How creation comes about. There is Purusha or God, God the Father, which is pure energy with consciousness, no matter. And then there is Prakriti or Moola Prakriti, which is pure matter, no consciousness. And when the two come together, they came together, this manifest universe, this everything you see around us, everything you're seeing around you, that has come about. Even we, our bodies, have come about different matter materials. I mean, the same essential matter, but with in different combinations, with different ratios of energy with consciousness. Yeah. So, but when you talk about the soul, when you talk about the divine spark, when you talk about Supreme God, they continue to be pure consciousness, no material. And our entire evolutionary path is we have descended into matter and now we have to evolve out of matter. What has to, when we say we, it is the consciousness, the soul. So from Supreme God emanate the Parabrahman, the divine sparks. Each divine spark then descends further into matter and becomes the higher soul. Then which then goes, it descends further, becomes the incarnated soul, and it is attached to bodies. And the purpose is to evolve, carry the lessons, the wisdom that is acquired of dealing with matter and bring it to the higher soul. Once all necessary knowledge is learned, the higher soul and the incarnated soul unite, they become one. Now, then there is more knowledge to be gained, more wisdom to be gained. And when that is gained, what we call God realization, the divine spark and the higher soul and the incarnated soul, their consciousness merges That is the purpose. So it's like, it first descends and then ascends and becomes one again. But when it goes back and it becomes one again, it has now this added knowledge or wisdom of dealing with matter. So, like Master says, Master talks about, the higher soul is pure but not perfect. For perfection, it needs to experience the material world. It learns to express itself at different material levels. What are the different material levels? The physical level, the emotional level, the mental level, and so on. All right. I hope I'm not boring you or making you. But this knowledge we need to keep to understand these sutras. Yeah, and the divine spark, resides that consciousness is at a level where there is no matter. So that is why Master says it is no thingness. All right. And in the existence of God is self-evident. Please make a note, chapter 4, Sutra 26. That is where Master has explained this creation, how creation has happened. The Purusha and the Prakriti, or the Yang and the Yin, they have fused to create the entire manifested universe. Okay. All right. We have time. So shall we move on? Any questions on this chapter? Anybody would like to talk about, discuss, ask? Or if you have some insights yourself, would you like to share? No? No? All right. Then let's move on. Let's move on to the next page. Yeah, okay. Nobody's putting up a hand. Nobody's unmuting themselves. All right, let's go on. I hope I'm not putting you to sleep.
No, no. So just a small clarification.
Yeah.
Now, the way Master has defined nothingness as no thingness, I got that. But when in our scriptures, the Hindu scriptures, we talk of neti. This is not this. It is not this.
Not
It
this,
is not.
not this. Yes, yes,
Huh.
yes.
So there and this, I was just trying to correlate. I couldn't do that. If you can help it big, otherwise we can discuss it later also. No
Yeah, I
issues.
think it is saying exactly the same thing.
Okay.
So when you see in India, in the Indian system, they are not distinguishing so clearly between the higher soul and the divine spark.
Uh, yes.
So let's
Yeah.
for all practical purposes, let us treat them as one single entity. Now,
Okay.
in describing that one entity, because all descriptions, as far now, this is a limitation of the physical brain. The physical brain can only accept or understand a description if it is based on the
No.
sense objects, or something that is within our sensory experience. How do you describe something which has no sensory experience?
Mhm.
So one of the ways in which they do that is that by saying it is not this, it is not this, it is not this, it is not this, it is not this.
Okay. Okay.
So that is my understanding. I may, it's not that I am an expert on that, but
That's why I
this is
said we
my
can discuss it
understanding.
later also
Yeah.
sometime. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Anything else? All right. Let's move on. So we are on page 15, meditation. A new section is beginning, meditation. So here there is text. To fly in the inner world, there must be calmness and stillness within you. So, in a sense, what Master is saying is to meditate is to fly in the inner world, which is a somewhat poetic way of describing meditation. But why is he saying something like this? You see, what happens in meditation, if your meditation is done properly and it's a good meditation, your consciousness has to rise above the physical plane, above actually all the planes, all the bodies, the physical body. You see, normally our consciousness is stuck in our bodies. It's very usual for us to say, oh, I am hungry, I am tired. What is happening? We are identifying, the I am is being identified with the body. because it is actually the body which is hungry. The soul cannot, soul doesn't need food, or the soul doesn't get tired. It is the physical body that gets tired. The physical body needs rest. Or otherwise, you may say, oh, I am sad. Now, what are you doing? The I am is being identified with the emotional body, because sadness is a vibration in the emotional body. So you're saying, I am sad. It's not I am sad. My emotional body is full of the energy of sadness. Or you say, okay, I'm thinking about X. So thinking about X means what? The mental body is engaged in thoughts related to whatever that X is. So my point is that usually, most of the times, our consciousness is stuck in our bodies. And you see, the bodies will limit the rise. You see, the consciousness is expressing itself through the bodies. The bodies will limit the lifting or the elevation of the consciousness. There is only a limit up to which normally it is said that the physical body has the lowest level, then the emotional, then the mental. So it can't go beyond the mental body. But when you do meditation, if you do meditation properly, what happens is the consciousness goes beyond the bodies. Now, you see, if the bodies are not still, when Master talks about calmness and stillness, it is the calmness and stillness as applied to the bodies. The bodies need to be calm, the bodies need to be still. Because if not, when you're sitting down for meditation, if you have an itch, what is going to happen? The physical body will consume your consciousness. It will block, or it will force itself on your consciousness. If you have a sneezing fit, what will happen to your meditation? Are you understanding? If there's some thought running around, maybe you are angry, you are in a state of anger, so you try to meditate. It doesn't work so well. Why? Because the emotional body is capturing the entire consciousness. It is not allowing the consciousness to rise. Are you understanding? If you are doing a mathematical problem and trying to meditate at the same time, problem. Because the mind will consume, the mental body will consume the entire consciousness. Are you understanding? So this is where now you have to still the bodies. The bodies have to be calm, they have to be still. मतलब उनको शांत करना पड़ेगा. अगर शांत नहीं करेंगे तो आपकी सारी चेतना, जो आपकी अवेयरनेस है, जो कॉन्शियसनेस है, वो उनमें फंसी रहेगी. How will it go beyond them? Meditation requires them to go beyond. So for that, calmness and stillness of the body is required. Now, when the bodies are calm and still, consciousness is now free to go beyond the bodies, to transcend the bodies. Now, if it goes beyond the bodies, Master says it goes, you will fly in the inner world. Now, why does he say inner world? Because it is not outside. It is not outside. There is the outside world is just physical and emotional and mental. उससे ज़्यादा कुछ नहीं है. So why inner? Because it is not outside. The higher levels are within us. The divine spark is, the higher soul is within us. The divine spark is within us. That is what we saw in the previous sutras, or actually in the previous chapter, which was on the soul. That is what one of the things we learned. It is all inside. And it is beyond the senses, it is beyond the bodies. Yeah. So now, why does Master say fly? Because fly means you are traveling easily, you are traveling without much effort, you are traveling. That is what happens when you have a good meditation, when you are able to silence the bodies, when your consciousness is able to go beyond the bodies. Yeah. I think I'm talking too much today. Anyway, let's move on to the next page. These are very interesting topics. There is no end to how much one can talk. You maybe you are thinking this guy is talking too much, but from my side, I am actually trying to control myself and not talk too much.
Right?
Okay, let's
Sure.
do one
Sure.
more sutra. I'm sorry, somebody saying
No, no.
something?
Yes, I'm saying that what you're talking is not at all irrelevant, very, very relevant, and supporting our understanding very well, sir.
Okay, very good. Very
No,
good. Thank you.
I think it's time we can go to the meditation. 6:30 almost.
We'll just do one more sutra. What is meditation? Meditation is spiritual practice or spiritual consummation. The purpose of meditation is oneness. So the word here, consummation, what does it mean? Consummation is a word with two meanings. Number one, it means fulfillment or reaching the goal. But it also means the act of fulfillment or what causes fulfillment. It also means what takes you to the goal or to the end point. So what master is telling us here is meditation is number one, spiritual practice. Spiritual means whenever you see the word spiritual, the the root word is spirit. What is spirit? Spirit is can refer to soul, higher soul. It can refer to divine spark. Okay, so it is related. So when you say spiritual practice, it means it's a practice that involves the soul or the divine spark. Okay, can you please mute yourselves? So, and then Master is saying the purpose of meditation is oneness. Now, again, one has to understand it is both achieving oneness and meditation is the steps or the actions that take us to the experience of oneness. Okay, I think we can stop here for today.